Hi, and welcome back to our Defy Aging tutorial. So this is week 35, and I am Coach Allison back as usual. So this week we are going to do stations on the turf, rotating around as usual, circuit style, but in interval times. It's going to be a random interval type of routine, just kind of spice things up to add a little fun to it. There are 6 different interval breakdowns. We're only going to do 3 rounds. The coaches are going to write each interval option on a little piece of paper, fold it up, so there'll be a little hat or something you can use like a bowl to pick a random one out. That's going to be the time you do for round 1. Pick another one. That's going to be the time you do for round 2. And then pick a third one, and that's going to be the interval time you do for round 3. This isn't, you don't have to memorize all this, but just to kind of show you the variety of different interval breakdowns we have. We have a 30-30, a 30-40, and that means the work and the rest time. That's what that means. So 30 work, 30 rest. No, I already misspoke. 40-40, 30-25, so a little bit shorter rest on that one. 30-45, so a long rest on that one. 45-30, and 20 on, 35 off. They're really all over the place. Some of them are going to be longer work and shorter rest. Some of them are going to be vice versa. And I think it'll just add some kind of a little sense of excitement and fun and different, kind of a different take this week on the interval times. So that being said, we have some demonstrations to do because there are 7 stations. Let's get to the workout. First station is a contralateral step up. And the contralateral really just means the weight you're using is in one side of your body, and then you're working the other side. So I'm going to grab this kettlebell with my right arm. That means I'm going to be doing the step up, the work, with my left leg, the opposing side. So what we're going to do is keep this leg here, not bring it down. Sometimes with step ups, we bring the leg down between each rep. Not this week. We're going to leave this leg here. You'll step up, come back down with the one leg, but again, keep this leg here. So it's just continual like this. And then halfway through whatever interval time we are on, whatever we picked for this round, halfway through that time, we're going to switch sides. So your coach will call out the halfway point to switch the side there. A couple things to avoid. Oh, it's heavy with the weight on there. Duh. Want to avoid, make sure you pick an appropriate weight to be challenging, but not so heavy that we have to like maybe swing. Oops, I'm doing the wrong side. Swing the weight like this to get up, or do a big like body thrust to get up. So want to be able to control the kettlebell and control the movement as much as possible. You can have a little natural forward lean like this. You don't have to stay perfectly upright. Just watch out for those 2 things, not swinging the kettlebell for momentum and not thrusting the body too far forward for the steps. But that is the contralateral step up. Station 2 is similar to one we had last week. We're going to do a bottoms up carry. I think last week we did the bottoms up high knees, right? So this time still with the bottoms up kettlebell. You want it in front of the chest. So there's a little bit of air, sliver of air here. We don't want to like resting against the body. So keep that, not touching the body. And then your coach will have a little route or an area designated for this. And we go for a controlled, I'm getting out of frame, but go for a controlled walk. So we don't want to compensate by like leaning backwards. So make sure you're not leaning backwards, and don't shrug. We don't want to shrug like this. Okay. So shoulders down and back. Yeah. But yeah, the goblet. Wait. Yes. Bottoms up goblet carry for station 2. Station 3, stability ball, hip thrust. All right. So this adds a lot, kind of like a stability ball plank. This just adds a different component. It makes you have to stabilize more. Hence it's called a stability ball. Because it's wobbly, right? Yeah. So you're going to lie on your back. You want the heel. The starting position is where some people get tripped up. A lot of people start their legs too straight. So we want about a 90-degree bend in the knee. Doesn't have to, it can be a little more forward, but about. And then we want the heels on the center of the ball. So we don't want the feet like here, like pressing flat into it. You also don't want like your feet too far back on the ball, because then your calves are resting on it. So your heels are digging into the very top of the ball. Hope that all made sense. Put your head down. I suggest putting your palms up that really, it doesn't affect the lower body work, but it puts your shoulders in a safer, my head's not in the frame. Well, you don't need to see my face. It puts the shoulders in a safer position because they're going to retract when your palms are up as opposed to protract when your palms are down. So from here, we dig the heels into the ball, keep your feet flexed. So my feet, this is a relaxed foot, this is a flexed foot, and we lift the hips as high as possible, tap the floor at the bottom, but don't rest down, and we come right back up. Okay, you should feel mostly hamstring here. Some people do feel some calf. Yeah, and so you're not just doing the work of lifting, you're also doing the work of controlling the ball to keep it from rolling. Now that is it's rather advanced, so we don't of course have to choose that. We can do a standard incline hip thrust as well. So you're still going to have your feet on an incline on a box or a bench, but you don't have the wobbliness, the unsteadiness of the ball. Everything is the same. Feet on the center of whatever you're using, or I should say heels on the center. Feet flex, not relaxed like this. All the same stuff. About a 90-degree bend in your knee to start, and we lift. Everything's the same. Okay? Alrighty. Now, anyone not doing our floor exercises, we're going to do a traditional Romanian deadlift, RDL with a kettlebell. And yes, it's a very different looking exercise, but it targets similar muscles, a little more glute than hamstring, but a lot of hamstring as well. Well, I shouldn't say more. Actually, it's a good amount of hamstring. So your coach will review form with you. I'm not going to spend too much time going over it because it's our alternative exercise here. But if you've been with us long enough, you've done probably hundreds of deadlifts. But that is going to be the alternative if you are staying off the floor. Next station, we have a battle rope exercise. It's a little bit different than normal. They're called baby waves or mini waves. It's more isolated to just like the arm, the bicep and the arm. Whereas a traditional battle rope movement, we want usually a big movement using your back and your shoulders and your hips. But this is different. It's going to be, again, isolated more to your arms. I'm going to show you my doing it first. I'm going to show you the ropes so you know what the ropes should look like. So you still want that nice athletic stance. So you're nice and planted and firm on your feet with a forward body lean for stability. Now, instead of normal, which would be kind of like this, big arm movements, we want to get the body swaying and all that. We're taking all that out. It's just going to be like an elbow flexion and little tiny baby movements. See the huge difference between those two things I just showed you, right? So I'm not doing big like that, little tiny babies. And you kind of know you're on the right track if the rope looks right. So now I'll show you the rope. So now I'm going to do the big one would be normally like this. With our baby waves, it should have just little ripples like that, okay? So a little bit different. It's going to be a lot more just arm and just a nice variety. Moving on, next station is a half kneel lat pull down with the band. Now, we aren't going to worry, I don't want anyone to worry about switching the knee, the half kneeling side, halfway through the set because that's really cumbersome and it can like waste 5 seconds of our set to like switch. So just do round one side, round 2 the other side, and then round 3 whichever side you like, because the kneeling right and left leg being up in the kneeling position isn't the primary focus. It's not the main concern. It's okay if you have 2 rounds on one side. So I wanted to explain that. But the movement, we have the band tied up. You want it tied up somewhere really high for this because we want to be pulling at a slightly downward angle. Okay, then we go into this half kneel. Okay, we're always used to that. Make sure this front foot is directly under the knee as opposed to kind of too far back like this. I would correct that to get that alignment straight under the knee, not back here. Overhand grip with the band, so we're not turning the palms neutral. Palms should be facing down. Your fingernails are facing down. And we pull back. We aren't leaning back with each pull, so try not to have any of this leaning momentum. You want to think of it like pulling your elbows down and back. Forget about your hands and like your forearms. Just forget all about those 2 parts of your body. Just think about your elbow pulling back. You're pulling your elbow back. And then the hand just trails and goes right in the right spot. Because just like this. When people overthink what their hands are doing, then we see kind of a lot of like this sometimes. or I don't even know, or kind of like this. So elbow, draw back, the hand just follows. I hope that makes sense. You should be feeling a squeeze in these kind of lower back muscles here. Okay, now anyone staying off the floor, totally fine. You're gonna stay at a standing position. You just won't have quite as much of a downward angle, which is also fine. It'll be slightly more level, but it's the same thing. You're just gonna stagger your stance like this. Still, all that same stuff is still in place with how you're pulling your arms back. And same thing with switch the stance each new set. All right, half kneel pull down, let's give it a shot. Okay, this exercise is a little bit different. It does involve a treadmill, but you don't have to turn it on. That's kind of the neat thing. You just hop right on it and start. It's called a treadmill push because you are pushing the belt. I'm explaining it now, and then I'll put the camera up and do it to show you. This will make more sense when you see me do it. You want to make sure that you're keeping your body close to your hands. Your handles of the treadmill are going to be here, so we're not coming way back like this. I'm going to pause this and get set up, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, I've got the treadmill here. So you are propelling the belt on your own. We're not turning it on at all, so you can just come up to it, grab the handles, keep your body close to it like this, so we're not doing arms straight like this, and then you are pushing that belt. Think of it like kind of like a hamster wheel maybe. But anyway, that's why. So it starts and stops as you decide. The speed is 100% up to you. It's kind of a give or take because the faster you continue to go, the easier the belt moves. But then you're also going faster, so that's harder work. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Anyway, this is new. We haven't done this, I don't believe. Maybe for a team builder, but let's give it a shot. So the final station is a little bit different. We're going to do a plank variety, but it's going to be a high plank. So we're actually going to be on the hands as opposed to the forearms. So I'll show you a couple of options. We can definitely do knees. That's always an option for a plank, but I'll show you toes first. Okay, hands right under shoulders and hips level. So we want to avoid the hips up. If you're putting knees down, totally fine. Just keep that diagonal body position. Make sure we're not shifting the hips back like this if we're doing the knee version. So hips down and back. Again, you always want your hands, they can be wider than your shoulders, that's fine, but we want them directly under the body and not forward. So what I mean by that is, see how they're lined up directly under my chest? They're not forward like that. And of course, we can always take it to an incline. So an incline high plank using a bench or a box. Everything's the same. Make sure your hands are directly under your shoulders, not in front. And that's the change there is pretty straightforward coming up to a bench. So any of those options is fine. If anyone has any wrist, like the flexion, the pressure on the floor is hurting or uncomfortable in the hands or the wrist, totally bring it down to a normal, well, I shouldn't say normal because they're both standard elbow plank. And that's totally fine. It'll get you off the wrist, but keep that plank work coming. Okay, and the team builder, the finisher, it's going to be partners. You're going to need a partner. It's going to be a tricep push down with the band. We've done these before, typically with the band hung over the rack. We've also done this partner one before. This is good for the working as a team, working together, because you have to do the rep at the exact same moment as your partner. Now, I don't have a partner, but I have my band anchored up to just something, like just looped around here. You would have your band looped around your partner's band. So you're both pulling away from each other. Upper arms are right at your side. See how my upper arm is drawing right along my side here? Palms down. And the tricep push down, I like to stagger my stance. That's how I'm going to stand. Push down until the arms are straight. Control back up. Okay, now what we're not doing is letting the upper arms raise forward like this. Again, pretend you have the super glue here and your upper arm is glued into your side. Only thing moving is the elbow. Now the tricky thing is you have to push at the exact same cadence and tempo and the exact same time as your partner, because you're both pushing the pressure away from each other and then you're both releasing at the same time. If those two things don't happen at the same time, it gets really wonky and it feels very weird. So if there's music playing, that should be go to the beat of the tempo of the music. That's always helpful. Otherwise, just work together, find a reasonable rhythm, and talk to each other, your partners. So yeah, we're gonna do that for 30 seconds, take a little break, and do a second 30-second set. One thing also to keep in mind with the form, I forgot when I had the band hooked up. When your arms are coming down, make sure your shoulders aren't compensating by protruding forward or shrugging. So keep those shoulders down and back at all times. All right, little arm finisher this week for our team builder. All right, that wraps up week 35. Somehow we're in week 35 already. Hope you enjoyed this workout and the random intervals. Hopefully we pick some good ones out of the bowl, and I'll see you back next week.